everybody, Vagran Gaming, and this time we're going to try something a little bit different. Normally for like arenas, if it's like a ranked arena or an unranked arena, sometimes I'll just throw music over it and let it fly. But this time I thought I'd do something a little different and do some commentary, partially because the audio was a little mixed up and there was like a big echo on it. So here's just some notes and some stuff I observed and some mistakes I made. So in the opening round, as you can see, Chris is taking a lot of damage, and they pretty much focused on him the whole time. Now, I'm a functional healer, not a great one, so I was struggling to keep him up. One thing though is, I call it the jaws of life. When I pop my supercharged gas, when I can pretty much hit the that advanced medical probe over and over, rarely people die while I'm using that. But between that and trying to manage my ammo, it was a struggle to keep Chris up. They really pumped the damage into him. As you can see, he's down to about 42%. I'm trying. I'm using the tricks that I've worked out so far, and I mean, he's doing all right. He's hanging in there, but we'll see how the round goes as it continues. So as you can see here, popped another Jaws of Life, and he's holding on all right. Got him up to 83%, and the damage just keeps coming in. One of the other things that I didn't notice at the time, because I was so focused on everybody's health bars, was their healer kept trying to like lift me. Yeah, I think they kept trying to use lift on me. And the gunslinger Kadeth, who's really good, kept spotting it and like countering it. And that helped a lot, because if I kept getting lifted, Chris would have been in a lot of trouble. But as you can see, he's down, unfortunately. So right about now, I'm kicking myself for messing up. But I mean, this is how you learn, you know? You go up against a good team, and iron sharpens iron. It's how you get better. So there's 3 of us left. So that's less potential targets for me to heal. So on that end, it gets a little easier. So now I'm trying to kite a little bit, and I want to break line of sight from these 2 guys. So I threw an electronet on one of them, leapt backwards, and went around the corner here, which is something that I'm trying to get better at, which is kiting while I'm healing. Because as a commando healer, I don't have a lot of abilities that I can use on the fly. Unfortunately, I lost track of where Strike Shot was. He was on the other side of the bunker there, and I didn't get to him in time. So that's another way I messed up. If you're gonna kite as a healer, you gotta be able to keep track of where your people are. Otherwise, they're gonna be up the creek without a paddle, as they say. So now it's just me and Kadeth. Kadeth is really good at what he does, so in addition to his defensive cooldowns with me throwing some heals on him, he can keep himself rolling for a while. You can see I got pulled there by the shadow, so I threw an explosive round at him to try to root him in place, and then I made a break for it and rushed over to try to get some healing on Kadeth. On the plus side, because he's really good with his defensive cooldowns, he popped his defense screen there, and then he hunkered down. Between that gave me just enough time to get up there to heal him, and I popped a knockback to give him some more room, because obviously he's ranged, so the more distance he can have between him and his target, the better. So, still struggling along, and obviously this is, as Blade would say, we're ice skating uphill, and it's not going to end well. But I understood that, but I wanted to see just how long I could help him stay up. Unfortunately, I got stunned. No breaker. I didn't really have much left for defenses, and that was it. They nuked me. And so now they're going to turn, and they're going to focus on Kadeth. So in the team chat, they're mostly going over their own strategy at this point as far as what they could do differently next round, while I was kind of hammering my forehead off the desk going, what did I do wrong? So that was round 1. Here's a quick look at the scoreboard. You can see how the DPS and whatnot lined up, and obviously they have the better healer, so they've got a bit of an advantage. And let's see how round 2 goes. The guys that I'm with, they're all very experienced. Strike Shot, for example, is a duelist, and by that I mean sometimes he'll log into game, and he'll just spend the whole time in voice chat going, hey, anybody want to duel? Anybody want to duel? Anybody want to duel? So, he knows what he's doing. Kadeth, as I said, is really good. And Chris, he's a monster. Sometimes I describe him as like a dog with a bone. Like once he gets someone sent, he's on them until they're down. He's one of the better guardians that I've seen. He's just really good at his situational awareness. So this time I do a little bit better at keeping track of where Chris went, and I stayed like right on him. The other thing is at this point I'm not getting a lot of pressure put on me, and that makes it a lot easier for me to heal, like because I'm basically free casting. Although I was pretty much free casting last round, but this time around I'm trying to keep my distance a little bit and work a bit more from my maximum range. And I think I'm about to pop the Jaws of Life any second. Yep, there it goes. So I'm confident Chris will be in a good place. And one of the things I tried to do, it didn't work out that well as far as getting back on point, but as a healer, if everybody's pretty much topped off within, say, 20% of their max health, that's a bit of an opening where I can do some damage. As you can see, I threw the plasma grenade, dropped a mortar volley on top of it. You could also like maybe slide in a sticky grenade or whatever, or that's the time where you could, case in point, throw an electric net up. The problem was I didn't reorientate myself quick enough. As you see, I got stunned, and right now Chris is he's getting close. And as I failed him last round, at that point in chat, he's like, "Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And yeah, I had that coming. But fortunately, I got to him just in time. And so now I'm kind of struggling to keep him up. But the Jaws of Life hit just in time. And I've rarely lost a patient when the Jaws of Life are in play. So we're keeping him up from 40 to 50%. Down a little bit, 60%. So we're doing our job. We're keeping Chris up. So here's another opportunity. As you can see, pretty much everybody's health is in good shape. So I'm trying to sprinkle a little bit of damage. I would have been better off doing full auto, but as what happens on occasion, tap targeting doesn't cooperate. But I just use that to do something as an approach and then hit the knockback just to try to create a bit of distance between the tank and the healer. It didn't work out perfectly, and they closed the gap almost immediately, but it was just one added layer of complexity that they had to handle. So sometimes every little bit can count. You want to make things as difficult as possible for your opponents, because they're obviously doing the same to you. So looks like they switched targets onto Caitiff, and Caitiff made a couple of observations that the way that they were playing against us, the way they were coordinated, he was theorizing that they, even though they were in different guilds, some of them were in different guilds, that they were probably a pre-made that was working together in voice chat, just because the way they were synchronizing. Could be, maybe not. Either way, they were a very good team. And right now, well, Caitiff's down to 50%, but everybody else is pretty much okay. So I'm gonna sprinkle. I tried to sprinkle in a bit more damage, and I wanted to use a stun, but then I'm like, they're white barred. So I probably would have been better off just shooting maybe a couple of charge bolts or something. And now that my group is like pretty much stacked on each other, that's when I went. That's a good time to go for that combo of your Colto Bomb followed up by a progressive scan, because that's two AoE heals on top of each other. And now I just lent a little bit of a hand, putting some damage on that shadow, and he's down. So we've got a solid advantage at this point. We're doing all right. I'm pretty sure I can save Chris. At least I'm hoping I can, because if I fail him again, I'm going to hear about it. But we've pretty much got this under control. Caitiff is free casting, which is a bad thing if you're on the other team. And there, that was everybody. And now it's just the healer. And with 3-on-1, 3 really good DPS on 1, they quickly chew through them. So, round 2. Redeem myself a little bit. I didn't lose any patience. Although I still got firmly out-healed, because their healer is really, really good. So that was round 1 and round 2. So here comes the tiebreaker round. We'll see how this goes. So, round 3, the decider. The DPS guys have pretty much worked out their strategy, and I'm trying to learn from my mistakes of the last 2 rounds, which is easier said than done. The first thing I tried to do is hit a concussion round on the healer. I didn't realize it at the time, but they started moving almost immediately, and I thought, oh, cool, they used their breaker. So in voice, I called out, hey, try to flashbang the healer. Which would have been a good idea if they actually had used their breaker. But I think what had happened was I didn't call out in time that I was using the concussion round, and I think Kadif wound up shooting her, and that broke it immediately. So even after that flashbang went in, the healer was up and moving almost immediately. On the plus side, though, if I had tracked events properly, I could have called it out that, hey, she definitely used a breaker that time, and then Strike Shot could have come in with a flashbang or something. But these are just like, you know, they say hindsight being 20/20. So I've got a decent amount of distance and throwing the heals out, and the first few rounds they focused Chris pretty hard, and this time around they're gunning for Strike Shot. It looks like they took note of how much damage he was dishing out. So now I've got to switch gears a little bit, but I'm pretty much in the safe perch up here. And the Jaws of Life are now fully charged, and off they go. So Strike Shot's in good hands, at the very least for the moment. And the battle's pretty much under control. Looks like they did a hard swap to Chris as his health started to drop, so now I'm focusing on him. And that's something else that I need to get a little bit better at. When I'm healing, I'm pretty much staring at that left corner at those health bars. And what I need to do is just glance at the health bars and then focus on the overall battle of what's going on around me. Because I think this is about where I made a mistake. Chris's health started to shoot down. I got pushed away and locked down slightly. So I charged back, hold the line, and I'm healing him up. But if you look at Strike Shot's health, it just shot right down. Now at this point, I thought that I had just made a huge screw up and I cost us the match. What I didn't notice at the time was their Sentinel got dropped at about the same time. So we're still at about an even playing field. But we lost a really good DPS in the form of Strike Shot. So that's another huge error that I made in this match that I gotta keep a better eye on for next time, of not getting tunnel vision on one person's health. Because once Chris was at around 50%, he could have made it on his own for a little bit, at least a little bit long enough for me to run over to Strike Shot and throw something on him to help him stay up. So, it is what it is. And so now we're regrouping, and I've got a bit of an opening, so I'm trying to help out. I threw the plasma grenade, popped Jaws of Life, and I'm right on Chris, trying to get him back up as his health was starting to shoot down. And that's going nicely. He's up in a good spot. So here's another potential opening where I could try to do a little bit of damage. But that opening closed very quickly. So now I'm lifted, and I'm calling out to Chris, and like, I'm lifted, I gotta save my breaker. Hold on. And this is mostly, I did that mostly because of my experiences in that last arena that I uploaded when we ran up against that really tough team with against like Planet Clanker and his group. Like, I got stunned so much, I had to be really judicious with my stun breaker, and even then I didn't quite handle it perfectly. So now I'm like ultra paranoid about when I use the breaker. If I haven't been white barred and I'm up in a lift, I'm very tempted to just let it ride, because you never know when you're really going to need it. So now I'm nervous. Chris's health is below 30%, and that's execute range, and that's not a good place to be, especially when there's a Guardian and a Shadow on the other team. Fortunately, he holds on, and I was in the middle using the Jaws of Life there when I saw an opening, threw the Electronet, and I think it was a full auto, and just pumped a little bit of damage, and then that helped take out the Shadow. So now we've got a 3-2 advantage, but if you look at the clock, there's only about 30 seconds left in this match. So right now I'm thinking what's probably going to happen as far as a worst case scenario, their Sage pops their bubble and we lose. We all get burnt up by the acid. So, created some distance from the Guardian there, holding the line, a combination of like holding the line when it's up and then using my jet boost, because if he just leapt to me, likely he can't leap again, although he might be able to use like his Blade Blitz, but that time it worked out and he moved on to another target. So these guys are still pumping out damage, and as you can see, the way they've divvied it up, the Guardian's health is actually getting low, so I threw a stun on him, and then I tried to put some pressure back on the healer, and that didn't quite work out, but it was a decent attempt. And I mixed up a little bit here. As you can see, it looks like Kadif got the finishing blow on the Guardian, and I'm looking around for the healer, but turns out he was behind me, or she was behind me rather, and then bang. Healer goes down without the bubble. So that was a tough match. I learned a bit, made a few mistakes that I'll hopefully learn from and not repeat. Fortunately, I had a lot of really good players on my team, and they helped pull us through. So it was a really good match. I was really happy that we were able to pull it out and get the win. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and the commentary helps. Feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Take care.